foggy night, shadows creeping slow, whispers in the wind, where Johnny go? Blood on the hay, pitchfork gleam, midnight moon, a witness to a scream, barn doors creaking, secrets kept tight. Old man Joe seen a deadly sight, no justice found, just a broken plow, crows peck the ground, dead man's vow. Murder in the meadow, lies thick as dust, promises shattered, betrayed by trust, chaos in the cornfields.
Y'all, Jamie here with Country Diggers, and I'm back with another murder ballad. This one is Duncan and Brady, and I'll be singing the song by Dave Van Ronk, his version of the song. And I'll be reading from The Silver Dagger, American Murder Ballads by Joshua Hampton, and also I'll be reading from planetslade.com, so stay tuned. By the way, I was just reading an ad right here that says, become a better singer in only 30 days with easy video lessons. Y'all think I can do that? I might try it. Brady and Duncan. Well, twinkle, twinkle, little star, along came Brady in his electric car. Got a mean look in his eye, gonna shoot somebody just to see him die. Well, he'd been on the job too long. Well, Duncan was attending the bar. Along comes Brady with his shiny star. Brady says, Duncan, you're under arrest. And Duncan shot a hole right in Brady's chest. Yes, he's been on the job too long. Brady, well, you know you done wrong. Breaking in here when my game's going on. Breaking down the windows, knocking down the door, and now you're lying dead on the barroom floor. Yes, you've been on the job too long. Well, old King Brady was a big fat man. Doctor reached out, grabbed a hold of his hand, felt for his pulse. Doctor said, I believe into my soul, King Brady's dead. Yes, he's been on the job too long. High-tailed carriages standing around, waiting to take King Brady to the burying ground. High-tailed carriages, rubber-tired hack. Well, they took him to the graveyard, but they ain't gonna bring him back. Yeah, he's been on the job too long. Well, women all heard King Brady was dead. They go back home, re-ragging red. A slipping and a sliding and a shuffling down the street in their big Mother Hubbards and their stocking feet. He been on the job too long. Well, Brady, well, you know you done wrong. Breaking in here when my game's going on. Breaking down the windows, knocking down the door, and now you're lying dead on the barroom floor. Yes, you've been on the job too long. All right. Okay, first I'll be reading from The Silver Dagger, American Murder Ballads by Joshua Hampton. This is Duncan and Brady. Manner of death, shooting by a .44 caliber pistol. Sordid details. An ill-humored sheriff is gunned down by a bartender while he's breaking up an illegal poker game. When news of the sheriff's death spreads, the town folks rejoice in his untimely demise. Okay. And case file, also known as Been on the Job Too Long, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. This ballad is based on true story of James Brady, a policeman shot in 1890 during a bar fight at the Charles Strake's Saloon in St. Louis, Missouri. Many believe Harry Duncan, the man convicted and hanged for Brady's murder, was falsely accused. It was later rumored that the saloon owner, Charles Strikes, confessed to the murder on his deathbed. All right, there has been some confusion about the reference to the electric car in the song. Since this supposedly happened in the 1890, the very first police car manufactured in the United States was a motorized police patrol wagon, built in 1899 for the Akron, Ohio police. It was powered by two 4 HP electric motors and served the department well until an angry mob pushed it into the Ohio Canal. The Akron police fished their electric wagon out of the canal and used it until 1905, when they sold it as scrap for $25. The reference to the electric car is in most versions of the song, including Bob Dylan's. Wilmer Watts was the first to record Duncan and Brady in 1929. And it's his version with the electric car reference that was preserved by history. So it might have been easy for Wilmer Watts to imagine Brady driving one. The heyday of the electric cars first go around was 1900 to 1925, and he recorded the song 1929. But there's another good explanation. The famously rich Diamond Jim Brady, the murdered man's namesake, got quite a bit of publicity for his electric car driving some years after the shooting, and it's quite possible the two men got confused. Somewhere along the way, someone probably misheard the shining star as electric car, and the rest is history. One of Leadbelly's versions of the song has Shining Star. Leadbelly's real name was Huddy Ledbetter. He could have heard the song through the oral tradition or maybe even in prison. He was in prison for murder. But anyway, now we go on to planetslade.com. There can be no doubt about Duncan and Brady's location or the date on which James Brady died, October 6th, 1890, as we still have the original press coverage. Stagger Lee is often said to be based on killings in other cities too, but these claims generally spring from no more than a half-remembered rumor someone thinks they might have once heard. That's the heading that he said he had put in this Waco stuff, under. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Here we go. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch. First report of Brady's killing, which happened in the paper's October 7th, 1890 edition, gives a long and fairly lurid description of the previous night's events at Charlie Stark's saloon, a joint frequented by the city's black crap shooters. The trouble there seems to have been started when a cop named Gaffney tried to break up a fight on the sidewalk outside and was twice knocked to the ground with a heavy cane in response. Gaffney summoned reinforcements, Brady among them, and the 4 cops charged into Stark's to make their arrest. They were immediately faced by a group of armed black customers and saloon staff, none of whom had any interest whatsoever in coming along quietly. A gunfight broke out between the two sides, and soon the air filled and was filled with whistling lead. The best description I found of the role played by Duncan and Brady themselves And all of this comes from the St. Louis Post Dispatch of November 4th, 1892. While the battle was at its full height, Officer James Brady dashed in the front door. He saw Harrison Duncan at the foot of the stairs, which he had descended, when the officers came in using his revolver with deadly intent. Brady fired a shot and advanced on Duncan, who returned his shot and ran across the room to the bar, behind which he retreated. Brady fired at his head as he peered over the bar, and Duncan fired back. Brady then made a bold move. He ran to the bar, climbed up on it, and bending over until he could see Duncan, he shot at him. Duncan jumped to his feet and placing his weapon within a foot of Brady's breast, he shot him through the heart. Brady fell to the floor and gasped, "I'm shot through the heart." Officer Connors, who had emptied his revolver, boldly advanced on Duncan, pointing the empty revolver at his head, ordered him to throw up his hands. Duncan did, and the battle ended. Brady died on the spot. His colleagues arrested Duncan, who hadn't known Connor's revolver was empty, of course. But two other men who had shot at them. They arrested plus two other men shot at him. Later reports tell us that a total of 25 bullets were fired by one side and the other in the course of the fight. One side or the other. There were plenty of injuries on both sides. Gaffney had been beaten with billiard cues at the top of the stairs, and Duncan had a couple of bullets in him, but Brady was the only fatality. Officer Brady was appointed on the force January 19th, 1886, at which time he was 26 years old. The Post-Dispatch tells us he made an excellent record as a fearless and efficient officer. There's a couple of times there which are quite interesting in the context of the psalm. Shot a hole straight through King Brady's heart. King Brady's chest. Seems a pretty accurate description of what really happened. A point-blank shot to the heart. Been on the job too long? Looks like a bit more doubtful, though, if the newspaper details are correct. Then Brady had been a cop for less than 5 years when he died. He left behind a widow and 4 young children, the youngest still a baby. Duncan's lawyers, a firm called Farner and Royce, served a change of venue for his trial and did all they could to delay the date. It was not until November 3rd, 1892, that a jury in Clayton, St. Louis County, found him guilty of first-degree murder for Brady's killing. The appeals went all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court, but to no avail. Still, Duncan's friends fought on. Just 10 days before his scheduled execution date, one group was still organizing events to fund a U.S. Supreme Court appeal. Many believe Duncan should have been convicted only of second degree rather than first degree, and therefore have escaped the death penalty. First-degree murder requires that the killing must have been planned in cold blood, and this is the definition Duncan's supporters argued his case did not meet, and it didn't. He didn't plan it. They came in there and it seemed like it was spontaneous to me, but their views are best summed up by this statement from R.E. Mudd, the case's prosecuting attorney, which was published in the Post-Dispatch on July 27, 1894. When Duncan was tried, the court should have instructed the jury for murder in the second degree. There was nothing in the evidence at all that showed that he killed Brady in cold blood. On the contrary, the testimony proved that Duncan only fired when 3 policemen were trying to kill him. I do not want to appear as condoning Duncan's crime, but I believe him to have been I believe him to be a thoroughly bad man. I wrote a long letter to Governor Stone, but he declined to interfere on the ground that he did not propose to be made a court of last resort. As Mudge suggests here, Duncan does seem to have been a pretty violent character. The press report claims he was the man who knocked Gaffney down outside the saloon and was fleeing that officer when he ran upstairs towards Stark's billiards room. Gaffney followed him up the stairs, but was promptly set upon by the same gang he had seen outside, who the Post-Dispatch says beat him with billiard cues, knocked him down, and brutally kicked him. Duncan had just returned downstairs when Brady first saw him. Mudd also suggests it was the police who shot first, which would explain the song's view that they were needlessly throwing their weight around in a room full of innocent gamblers. Brady, 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 well, you know you done wrong. Breaking in here while my game's going on. Breaking down the windows, breaking down the door. Now you're lying dead on the barroom floor. Duncan was hanged at 6:29 a.m. on July 27th, 1894, at Clayton Courthouse. He was left hanging there for 27 minutes and then cut down and buried in an unmarked grave at Frieden's Cemetery in St. Louis County. Is it Frieden's or Frieden's? Friedens. Okay. The Post-Dispatch describes a small crowd of women watching the execution from the courthouse roof and reports overhearing 2 of them avidly rehashing the details over their hotel breakfast an hour later. Wow. Oh, okay. Well, hope you enjoyed, and see you back soon.